Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Let's have a look at things here for the daily video. Just a quick little reminder, if you'd like to join our live trading group, we're on twice a day, all week long, attacking the market. You can go to daytradersfx.com and get a free trial here and join us in the trading group. Quick little look at how things are looking so far. Dow ended up rallied quite a bit, and then it pulled back right before the close, closing about 25 points in the positive when it was about 60 or 70 points up. S&P had a decent close, and oil is way back up there in the 90s now. We were down in 80, 87, 88 for a little bit, and now here we are back up at 93. So that's keeping an eye on things there. U.S. markets, we saw the pound dollar went crazy today because there's a lot of fear that the UK might be having some extra recession issues and so on. And that turned out to not necessarily be the case with the GDP numbers. 0.3% was the number today when they were looking for only a 0.1%. So the pound rallied like crazy. We'll look at that in a moment. And the U.S. numbers came out a little bit better than expected as well. Unemployment claims. We have trade balance coming out for New Zealand. So if you're trading anything New Zealand dollar, keep an eye on that. And we have some yen stuff coming out as well. Press conference and policy meeting minutes there. Let's go to what we have going on tomorrow, if I can get there. Tomorrow we have there we go. Tomorrow we have a decent report. Advanced GDP numbers for the U.S. Should get things moving a little bit, so let's definitely keep an eye on all of that. And then we'll have a little bit of Swiss franc action probably as well, so let's just keep our eyes peeled there. Okay, let's get right down to the charts here. Euro dollar has been wild and crazy. We've been kind of playing around with the euro dollar, looking at a couple of things here and there. Here's what we saw happen. The euro dollar, we ended up shorting it just around this area and took a small loss as it broke higher. And the pound or the euro ended up running up and just testing that weekly high. So our weekly high has been very well supported. The resistance has been very well supported there, and we've tested that a couple of times, and we ran right up to it again, and just probably enough to clear stops out. We pushed through that level by 10 pips or so, just enough to clear all those stops, and then the pound came tumbling down to the daily pivot point, and now it's having a heck of a time with its daily pivot point. Now, a couple of things to take into account here will be number one, the fact that the euro, I still see the euro as turning bearish. We still have a big head and shoulders pattern on this weekly chart. We might find some good support down here at the bottom of this channel, and we very likely could. These channels are very strong when we start talking weekly and monthly charts, and so we could see some of that support down there at 128, 50, 128.80. We know that we have some targets down there on the 128s. You can still see this kind of small head and shoulders pattern on this 4-hour chart here. And it seems to be holding. We still are kind of running off of this mostly bearish engulfing candle right here, and we just keep getting these long wicks every time we try to break higher, and it just doesn't want to do it. So we get these long wicks, these shooting stars, these inverted hammers. We get all kinds of crazy things trying to break higher, and it doesn't seem to want to. Now we had a little bit of a reversal candle right here, but that doesn't seem to have mattered too much because we ran up and tested that weekly high and have just tumbled right back off it again. So I still am mostly bearish euro dollar. Now the other two things to mention is 200-day moving average has been a really tough one to get below, and now we're below it, and we tried to get back up above it, and that was a failed attempt on the daily chart, and then a failed attempt here on the 4-hour chart as well. So we got above that 200 moving average, and here we are with this big bearish engulfing candle. Once again, we're back below it. And I'm just looking to see, obviously this is going to be a tough level right here. It's about 129.50, and that's going to be a tough one, but I think if we can get below that, then that opens us up to the run down to 127.50, which is a nice 200 pip movement. And as we say, I wouldn't kick that out of bed for eating crackers. So I think that'll be a nice little move if we can get there, but we're going to probably have to get below 127.50, or excuse me, 129.50 to get to that 127.50. I'm a little torn on what I want to do here. A couple of things that I'm going to look at since we're still chopping around in this channel, and we probably will until we get to the FOMC, or excuse me, the ECB statement, which is all the way in the middle of next week, I think this will be a good one to trade the range for now, which means I want to short towards the high. Now we're 70 pips off of 80 pips off that high, 90 pips off that high. We're right back in the middle of the channel, so you can see that we're 55 pips from the low and about 80 pips from the high. So I guess we're a little bit closer to the bottom of the channel than the top. But regardless, I think we're going to have some good little opportunities. So I want to look for some chances to buy the euro dollar against 129.50. So again, we're not that far away. We're only 50 pips from that low right now. So somewhere at 129.60, 70, I'm going to buy with stops just below this. So that low's right there is 129.54. I'm going to look for probably 129.50 for my stop, 129.49, and I'm going to buy against that low. And if we end up getting a run up, I'm going to have my stops at 130.100, and I'm going to be looking to short the euro dollar around 130.75, 130.80, somewhere in there. So I'm just watching that in the middle. You can see a little bit of a trend line trying to form here, but I'm not excessively convinced of what might happen. Although, you know, the daily pivot has held pretty well. If we get below that daily pivot, then there might be a quick little scalp to take down towards that low while we look for an opportunity to buy against that low. So that's one thing that I'll just kind of be keeping an eye on. But really, I'm looking to short off the tops and buy off the bottoms here until we get to that ECB interest rate announcement and press conference, which is coming up, I believe, Wednesday of next week, Wednesday or Thursday. So it's going to be a long week getting to it. Pound dollar, we talked about the pound dollar yesterday, and we talked about 150.300, 150.200, and 150.300. And we broke above 150.300. It did exactly what I like to see these levels do, which is a nice little break, retraced down nicely, and then rallied hugely up to R3 on the weekly pivots from the GDP news. So a really huge, nice movement there. We have a missed daily pivot point, which is something to take into account. But overall, the pound dollar, we're not surprised on this movement. We've been watching this channel hit the bottom of that channel, and here it goes. Now, one thing that I am interested in on this pound dollar, though, is this area up here, which is really just below, you know, 15600, 155, somewhere between 155.75 and 15600. I'm probably going to look to short the pound dollar against that because that's going to be the top of our channel. That's going to be the 50% fib and the 200-day moving average, and I think we're going to get some nice runs down from that. So I'm going to be looking for a trade opportunity there, but that's still a good little chunk away, nearly 200 pips away. For everything in the meantime, we do have a nice little pin bar here on the 4-hour chart, but that's a lot of momentum to trade against, so I'm probably not going to do too much on the pound dollar for the moment. Aussie dollar, on the other hand, has run pretty nicely. We've seen the Aussie dollar just really chopping around. We had this we had this nice little hammer on the daily chart right here, which caused, which helped identify a little bit of a rally, and we saw a nice little move up there. We didn't get an entry on the Aussie dollar because we have been in it long this week a little bit and have made money on that, but we didn't get an entry because it didn't quite give us enough retracement. So we're looking to get in a little bit lower here, and it didn't quite get us there. But the Aussie dollar has run up and reached the 200 moving average and the weekly pivot. We got to hit those weekly pivots, and we did. We hit that one with a nice little shooting star right here, and now it's been coming down very nicely. There's been some pretty good support right here at 10300 area. We're below that. We're at 102.90, and I think next stop will probably be the daily pivot, which is, just a little over 20 pips away, around 102, 65, 70 area. So I think there might be an interesting opportunity to short this Aussie dollar as long as it stays below 10300. If it breaks above 10300, get out, close out, be done. But if it stays below 10300, then I think we've got a good opportunity to trade it down to that missed daily pivot and then kind of see where it goes from there. I'm a little bit torn on what I think might happen. We have a nice reversal candle here against the weekly pivot. We're still below the 200 moving average, but I'm not 100% in love with the movement on this one for the moment. So I'm just kind of sitting it out and seeing what it does and where it goes. Yen pairs, we've got some interesting stuff here. 128.80 and 129. 88. So we basically have about a 100 pip channel the last couple of days, and I think this is going to be pretty interesting. So one thing that I'm going to look for on this channel is I think we've got a decent chance of this thing breaking down, but I'm going to look for opportunities to short against this high. We're not super far from the high right now. We're about 70 pips. If we get within 30 or 40 pips of that high, get your stops just above this, like at 129, say 95 to play it safe. And let's look to short this thing, 20, 30 pips away from the top. And likewise, I think we're going to have some decent support down here. So let's look to buy off these lows within, literally 15, 20 pips of those lows. Get your stop at like 128.75 and buy off of that low there. And let's see where things go and how they play out. But I think we might have some nice opportunities to just kind of trade this range. And then when it does break, the same thing. I want to see this breakout happen, a little bit of retracement to the range, and then up and away we go. Or on the downside, a breakout, retrace, retest, and then make a move to the downside. So let's just watch that. Let's watch both of those areas and be ready for that break. Aussie yen doesn't have anything too terribly interesting going on at the moment. I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. I don't really see anything because I'm a little unsure of what I think might be happening on the euro, or excuse me, on the Aussie dollar. So Aussie yen is kind of along the same categories there. So let's keep an eye on all of that. We've got some great setups and good things in the works. So let's make some pips on it. I'll see you guys in the chat. Thanks, everyone.